Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Today, as I mentioned before the prayer began, I'd like to look into the teaching of Meishu-sama regarding Kototama, the spirit of words. As Meishu-sama stated right before his transition, from now on, he would do everything with sonen and words, the power of words, with the power of mind and the power of words, the Kototama. So, in regards to the Kototama, the spirit of words, Meishu-sama left a very small teaching, even though he left many teachings about it, but one teaching specific on Kototama. And I'd like to share that with you today and look a little bit deeper into it. On Kototama, the spirit of words. In the Bible, it is written, "In the beginning was the Word, and through him all things were made." In my opinion, this refers to the workings of the spirit of words. At its foundation, the spirit of words needs to possess a force that can translate into something great. Without it, words are useless. What is more, when I say force, there is the distinction between good force and evil force. That is, the spirit of words deriving from evil forms sin, and that deriving from goodness forms integrity. That is why everyone must strive to use the spirit of words deriving from goodness. Its force, needless to say, comes from one's sincerity, and sincerity comes from God. You must therefore, before anything else, acknowledge God. In other words, to exhibit true sincerity in your life, you must be a believer of God. If not, the force of goodness in the spirit of words will never manifest itself. The Collected Works of Mokichi Okada, Writings, Volume 8, pages 733 through 734, around 1950 was when this was written, circa 1950. Now, this teaching is very profound in many ways. And if we really look into it, it's very interesting to start with. Meishu-sama starts citing the Bible, where in the book of John, it's written, "In the beginning was the Word." And in that citation, it says, "The Word was with God, and the Word was God. And through him all things were made," as Meishu-sama states here. So the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And that spirit of Word created all things. But what word is that? As we've been studying and going deeper into words, we know that the word Messiah is the word most holy and high. It is the essence of all things. It's the name of our very own soul. And Meishu-sama talks about true sincerity. And he talks about us being sincere, but he says true sincerity comes from God. So before anything else, we must acknowledge God. So as we talk about the power of sonen, the practice of sonen, and the power of words, it's all connected. The power of the word Messiah, as we acknowledge the existence of God, whose very name is Messiah, as Meishu-sama has been teaching us. As we acknowledge the true God, creator of all things, through his name, Messiah, then for the first time, the spirit of words begin to manifest itself. So I can spend all day talking and using words, but if I don't acknowledge the existence of the supreme God alive, of the Messiah alive in the center of my soul, everything I'm saying basically is just, as Meishu-sama says, useless in power. It has no real strength. Therefore, God created all things for him to fulfill his wish, fulfill his mission. And we are here as part of that creation to participate in that process of God fulfilling his mission. And through our consciousness, through everything, our mind, all that we see, all that we think, all that we feel, God is using our words through the name Messiah as we return everything back to God to fulfill his mission. So it's one thing for me to pray to God and not truly acknowledge God. And then it's another thing, through the name Messiah, acknowledge living God, alive in the center of my consciousness, in the center of my soul, through that prayer. And then, for the first time, as Mishama says, the force of goodness, which is the force derived from God, the force from God, the force of goodness, in the spirit of words, will manifest itself. If we don't do that, it will never manifest itself. So I believe for the first time, Meishu-sama, through teaching us the importance of the essence of Messiah, the power of Messiah, God's power began to manifest in this world as something never before seen by any. For the first time, as heaven and earth become one, as heaven projects itself on earth, that power is manifesting itself evermore. That's why it is crucial for us to be conscious of the words that we are expressing on a daily basis. But it's not just if I'm using good words or bad words or speaking nicely during the day. It's to be conscious that through those words, I need to serve the Supreme God alive in the center of my conscience. Through the word Messiah, every word I speak, every thought I have, I need to surrender back to the Supreme God, to the Lord God, creator of all things. So that word Messiah might seem like it's a replaceable word, that I can use any other word and just, well, my heart is sincere, I'm praying to God. But Mishama says, for a true, sincere heart, we must acknowledge the living God inside, in the center of our soul. So it's like saying, I'm greeting you today, but I don't call you by your name. Or I greet you, recognizing each and every one of you by your name. They're two completely different feelings. So when we open our hearts to the Supreme God alive in the center of our consciousness, and we surrender all of ourselves to God through the word Messiah, which is his holy name and the holy sacred name of our souls that was bestowed to us in the beginning when he bore us in heaven. For the first time, God begins to truly manifest himself, his true power. So I'm not surrendering that to manipulate that power. On the contrary, I'm actually submitting myself to his will, bowing before God, before his amazing and most holy power to serve through every thought and feeling. So, soning and the power of words are not two separate things, two works. Actually, it's one set. So through the work of soning, surrendering everything in the sacred work of Jorei, as I surrender everything, I need to do that using the spirit of words as God intended for us to use, not using it as I want it to use. So it's very important for us to also be on guard in a way, watching what we are saying, what we are speaking. And even though not nice words might come out, bad thoughts might come out, it's important to, at that moment, recognize that the Supreme God is shining His light through all of us so that we can recognize that situation, recognize those feelings, recognize those thoughts that we've been using as our own, and surrendering them all back to God. So it is a very small teaching, and it seems like we can just read it. Oh, it's nice, it's the power of words. But truly in depth, it's a very, very deep teaching in many levels. To acknowledge God is not just saying, I believe in God. It's acknowledging that the Supreme God, the Lord God, the Creator of all things, is alive and in the center of our souls, shining His light, welcoming all of us into His heaven. As we mentioned in the service this past weekend, God's light is shining through all of us. And through that work, we, in our conscience level, are observing everything that God has already forgiven, so that through the name Messiah, we can return all that back to God as He creates an entirely new world, as all things are receiving a completely new birth, as Meisho-sama also stated in 1950. So it's a truly exciting time. One, to know the true God, Creator of all things, to know this name, most sacred and holy name, Messiah, and to be able to serve the Supreme God through our soul name and the word Messiah, surrendering everything back to God. So it is a very brief thought that I like to share with everybody today, but very deep. Today, during the day, as you spend your day, even if you forget, right? As you remember during the day, everything you experience, everything you see, positive or negative, be it on TV, be it within your family members, let's, through the name Messiah, this most sacred name, in the spirit of the word Messiah, surrender everything back to God, along with all the souls connected to that, who are also alive in us, in which we are observing, so that God may grant all humanity, all of creation, new life, and we may be born anew as God's children, Messiahs. I believe that if even 5, 6, 7 of us begin to truly do that on a conscious basis, we are going to see a true manifestation of God's power like we've never experienced before. A true transformation is taking place, and we are so blessed to be a part of that in this moment in time. So please, let's try that during the day, during this week. As we are experiencing everything, let us, through the power of the Spirit of words, through the Sone, serve God, surrendering everything back to God through the name Messiah. I'd like to leave you with that thought in mind. On Tuesday, tomorrow, we have a study session at 6:30 p.m. You're all welcome to join. It would be on Facebook. You can join the group. I've shared the links. You can also later on watch through YouTube. It will be available. Not on this channel. It's on a separate channel right now. But you're welcome to join. If you have any questions regarding what we talked about, comments, please make sure to leave it in the comments here today so that we can actually use it for study material during the week. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel or follow us on Facebook. That way you can be up to date with what's going on in new videos coming up. Thank you very much for joining us, and have a wonderful day. And let's serve through the power of Sone and the spirit of words, through this word most holy and high, Messiah, surrendering everything back to God to be born anew as God's children, Messiahs. Thank you.